tiny fractures appeared across its shell, spreading faster than I could process.
The lava inside shifted violently, as if impatient to escape. Then, with barely a warning, the membrane began to peel open. The creature slipped out, glowing faintly like living jelly. Within seconds, it doubled in size, then doubled again.
If this kept up, I'd be out of space before morning.
Its limbs unfolded like soft origami, stretching for the first time. Little glossy eyes emerged, scanning the room as if recognizing me.
Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, flexing under the lamplight. The growth accelerated again, forcing me to shift the enclosure. It tried to stand, shaking, gripping the table with surprising strength.
Its spine assembled itself segment by segment, like time-lapse biology.
Through the transparent skin, a heart flickered faster than any I've seen.
Its breathing slowed, syncing almost perfectly with the room's silence. Then it crawled a few inches, taking its first unsure steps.
Little whisker sensors sprouted, waving as if tasting the air.
Its skin rippled with new colors, adapting instantly to my bedroom light.
A faint glow surrounded it, like heat shimmering off pavement.
It flexed again, shaping muscles that looked far too advanced for its age.
Thin molecular threads fused together as the droplet stretched across the warming basin. Clusters broke apart and swirled into new shapes the moment the surface began to pulse. A faint glow formed a ring as the heat reshaped every molecule inside the droplet.
Filaments branched outward, behaving almost like tiny limbs reaching for stability. Microtextures shifted rapidly as new patterns formed and dissolved within seconds. Inner currents swirled restlessly, each cycle pulling the droplet into new formations. Clusters vibrated intensely, reacting to every tiny rise in surface temperature. Web-like filaments linked together, forming a fragile network across the droplet. Microbubbles rose inward, releasing faint bursts that reshaped the inner structure. A molecular spine fused through the center, anchoring the droplet like a growing backbone. An internal helix rotated steadily, twisting tighter as the temperature climbed.
Reactive threads split apart cleanly, each one forming its own direction of growth. Tiny molecular dust shimmered around it, drifting like microscopic snow. Layered rings formed inside, each spinning at its own unpredictable rhythm.
Oscillation waves pulsed through it, rippling the droplet into new shapes. Tiny, glowing veins appeared as molecules aligned into narrow, energetic channels. The inner membrane twisted like a slow spiral, bending under increasing pressure. Bridges formed between molecules, creating tiny arches that strengthened the structure. Microparticles cascaded down its sides, settling into new arrangements.
A slow internal pulse expanded outward, signaling the start of another transformation.
New clusters swirled upward, as if the entire basin exhaled for the first time.
Tiny membranes flickered alive, stretching into shapes that barely held themselves together.
Strands connected across mineral ridges, weaving the first fragile hints of structure.
Vesicles drifted, colliding gently, until some merged into larger, shimmering forms.
Thin rafts joined across the ripples, stitching tiny pieces of order into the chaos.
Threads stretched and recoiled, sensing the warmth rising from the canyon wall.
A glowing mesh unfurled, catching stray particles and holding them in place. Nutrient flecks cascaded from a vent, feeding whatever was trying to assemble below. Small vesicles snapped together into chains that moved with surprising intention. Ribbons curled across the sediment, folding into shapes never seen before. Clusters pulsated, as if testing the boundaries of their new, fragile shells. Nodes branched outward, mapping invisible paths along the warm strip.
Droplets shifted colors as new reactions rippled beneath their translucent skins.
A ring of matter hardened slowly, giving the cluster its first real boundary.
The center turned, gathering speed until it formed a rotating microcore.
Filaments split cleanly, doubling in number with every warm surge. A delicate network spanned the basin, ready to support whatever emerged next.
Charged droplets zipped across the ridge, sparking brief flashes with every collision.
A thin film stretched outward, stabilizing into a flexible living membrane. For the first time, a pulsing core appeared, steady, rhythmic, undeniably alive.
The cluster expanded in rhythmic waves, reshaping the mineral shelf beneath it. Two protozoa rotated in sync, exchanging energy like a primitive dance. A fragile algae film spread over the plateau, capturing every ray it could. A nutrient-rich droplet descended, sparking instant growth where it landed.
The cell stretched its membrane until it split into two perfect halves. A swarm advanced across the clay, seeking fresh minerals to devour. Filament strands climbed toward the light, weaving the first primitive forest.
A tiny predator crept along the silt, sensing vibrations from hidden prey.
Microscopic spores drifted gently, settling wherever the current nudged them.
Little domes formed an early colony, anchoring themselves deep into the crack.
A proto-worm bent its gelatinous body, carving tiny trails in the mud. A chemical plume surged upward, feeding anything bold enough to approach.
A fractured shard lit the ledge, guiding microbes toward its surface. A microbial veil unfurled slowly, shading everything underneath it. A small grazer scraped minerals greedily, leaving neat patterns behind.
A perfect ring expanded across the patch, marking a shift in dominance.
A lone larva floated aimlessly, waiting for conditions to change.
An enzyme burst ignited within the pore, accelerating nearby metabolism. Branching filaments raced outward, claiming every nutrient they touched.
A primitive shell thickened around the organism, marking a leap in survival. Two drifting droplets fused into one, merging their chemical cargo into a stronger, more reactive mixture.
A thin protofilm stretched across the minerals, gripping the surface like a newborn membrane.
A microvesicle floated uneasily, pulling stray ions into its fragile shell, as if learning to feed. A nutrient strand reached from one stone to another, bridging the gap with quiet determination.
Its pulse grew stronger as the heat below pushed new reactions to the surface. The vesicles gathered in a trembling circle, orbiting one another like confused moons. A twisting microstrand folded onto itself, forming a pattern too intentional to ignore.
A thin shell formed around the droplet, protecting its unstable core from collapse.
Filaments looped into rings, each one a step closer to replication. A patch of protocells clung to the rock, holding their ground as temperatures fluctuated wildly. A barely visible glow radiated from within, hinting at new chemical possibilities.
The vesicle stretched thin, its body trembling as it prepared to split for the first time. Two identical spheres drifted apart, their birth a rare moment of early replication.
A plume of nutrients released upward, feeding everything it touched.
Against a spike of heat, the droplet compressed, refusing to break.
Thin branches split from the filament, creating a more complex structure. Its shell thickened as the pool receded, giving it a better chance at survival. A cluster pulsed in rhythm, exchanging ions with surprising efficiency. They linked for only a moment, forming a chain that broke apart just as quickly.
A woven mat spread across the stone, marking the first stable stage of primitive life.